warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this debate. We are from Muhammadiyah Singapana High School. We are affirmative. My name is Rizka Hortunisa as the first speaker. This is Wahda Siti Nur Fauzia as the second speaker, and Indi Padrianti as the third speaker. The motion today is video games are too violent, and we agree with this motion. To discuss this problem, we have four arguments. The first argument is from psychological aspect. The second argument is from economic aspect. The third argument is from healthy aspect, and the last argument is from social aspect. The first argument will be explained by the first speaker. The next argument will be explained by the second speaker, and the last speaker will elaborate all arguments. We limit motion today that the video game is only violent video game. For example, Free Fire, Debat, Resident Evil, etc. Ladies and gentlemen, in this modern era, we must know video games. According to Wikipedia, video game is an electronic game that involves interaction with the user interface to generate visual feedback on a 2- or 3-dimensional video display device such as touchscreen, virtual reality headset, or monitor or TV set. Video games have become an increasingly important part of the entertainment industry, and whether they are also a form of art is a matter of discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, this house believes that video games are too violent. Let's see from psychological aspect. The development of games has been various. The game has entered a higher level, sophisticated, and also difficult. If you see from the type, starting from the game console with the type of online game, PC games, and other games. Indeed, the fact that the game is very exciting to play, especially when we are bored or when we are stressed. But the effect of the game is in fact the same as the effect of electronic communication technology for child growth. Ladies and gentlemen, the first point is the child can be depressed. For the long-term games that are done by children are trivial things. Many parents let their children play these games. In fact, addiction can test the child's health level, which is increasingly down. Not without reason. This is due to habit that change when playing games such as lack of sleep and eating. Excessive use of online games can also indicate symptoms of depression with a level social skill that continues to decline. They will feel pressure indirectly and blame the child is isolated from the game and not accustomed to meeting other people. Ladies and gentlemen, the next point is anxiety. Anxiety is the next problem where feelings of anxiety and irritability arise when the child cannot play. In addition, in humans it is natural to have feelings of curiosity. But you need to know that anxiety will also arise due to curiosity of children because they cannot finish the game being run. Ladies and gentlemen, the third point is hyperactive. You should know the characteristic of hyperactive children in order to know what stern violent video games can affect you. Therefore, hyperactivity can really make children experience other mental disorders. Initially, games will show children who can't be silent because he is always triggered by nervous of games. Ladies and gentlemen, the last point is aggressive behavior. Aggressive behavior is a behavior that is intended to harm others to express their negative feelings, such as hostility to achieve the desired goal. There are 4 aspects of aggression, namely anger, hostility, verbal aggression, and the last point is physical aggression. One of the factors thought to affect aggressive behavior is a habit of playing violent video games. The objective of this study was to determine the relationship of behavioral addiction, playing violent video games, toward aggressive behavior in boys' elementary school, grades 4 and 5 in state elementary school, Number 2, Cupak Tangah Pauh Padang. This study used a cross-sectional study designed with a total sample of 83 students, grade 4 and 5th. Data were collected through interview with respondents using a questionnaire, and they analyzed the T-square test with 95% confidence level. The result obtained, the percentage of respondents who have aggressive behavior was higher in respondents who experienced addicted to playing violent video games compared to those who didn't experience the addiction of playing violent video games. And there is a significant relationship between addiction, playing violent video games with aggressive behavior. And so, ladies and gentlemen, that's why we totally agree with this motion. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Hello everyone, good morning. My name is Wahda Siti Nur Fauziah, a second speaker from affirmative team. Today we will talk about the motion this house believes that video games are too violent. Ladies and gentlemen, before I explain our argument, let's come to our fact about video games. And before that, I say Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, in a gaming, present three elements. The elements are game, video gamers, and tool to game. But today I just tell you about video gamers. So ladies and gentlemen, who are the video gamers? Video gamers are someone or individual who play the game. Based on frequently, Mr. Prom in 2003 divided video gamers to three types. The first type is regular video gamers. This type play the game every day until every hour. The second type is casual video gamers. This type play the games just in holiday. And the last type is non-video gamers. This type ever play the game, but they dislike the game. Ladies and gentlemen, for the next fact is history. Do you know that video games only just developed in 1950? Yeah, video games developed in 1950 years in Manchester University, Cambridge University, and Princeton University. The first purpose is for entertaining the community. But in today, the video games is overused by everyone, including the children. Negative effects are appear, so these effects are with controversy. One of negative effect is eye disorder. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's come to our argument. I will explain from health aspect and economic aspect. The first point is health aspect. As I told you, video games have negative effects. The negative effects have an effect to our eyes. In around us, many people use eye glass, especially children. And which father's strength, every child who uses the eyeglass is to play the game. Ladies and gentlemen, in Asia, Mr. Lam and Mr. Goh in 1991 found that of 383 school children from age 6 until 17 years, the prevalence of myopia increased. In presentation, 30% at age of 6 until 7 years. In presentation, 70% at age of 16 until 17 years. Ladies and gentlemen, from the fact I totally agree with the motion that video games are too violent. Ladies and gentlemen, besides causing eye disorder, other health disorders appear because of video games. In between are repetitive strain injury, gastritis, and epilepsy. So, from this fact, I totally agree with the motion that video games are too violent. Okay everyone, for the next point from economic aspect, maybe you are asking what is there any relation between video games and economic aspect? The answer is certainly there. What we ever think that children ask to their parents because they see their friend have something would the children not have? This condition ever experienced by me because the children see their friend, they won't like the friend. On one hand, their parent no money to buy the video games tools, so the parent did buy the video games tool. So the children threaten kill themselves. This is problem for their family. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't want this problem is doing. So I totally agree with the motion that video games are too violent. Ladies and gentlemen, we know that children are the future infantry. Of course, we don't want this national infantry to be damaged before its time. So, this is the reason why I agree with the motion. And lastly, I totally agree with the motion that video games are too violent. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Hello everyone. Before starting next argument, my good morning to all the people present here. Ladies and gentlemen, our motion today is video games are too violent. And today, as third speaker from affirmative team will give next reason why we are agree with this motion. Ladies and gentlemen, beside our definition, which was cited by our first speaker, that video games is an electronic game that involves interaction with a user interface to generate visual feedback on a 2 or 3-dimensional video display device, such as touchscreen, virtual reality headset, or monitor and TV set. And for example, we can mention likely Call of Duty, God of War, and the most famous game Mobile Legends. We believe that video games are too violent, and here I will review it from social side. Ladies and gentlemen, in a modern era, technology, especially video game, greatly increased. We can play the video game every time and everywhere. Video games also played by all groups, starting for children to adults, starting for men to women. We must admit that video games can make us enjoy and have fun. But in another side, the more we play, it can make us addicted. We can see the bad effect from video games start from it and become from addicted. Okay, the first point from the bad effect is we lost our time just for nothing. We missed our productive time. Back to the statement that video game can make us have fun. We must say yes for it, but the longer we do it, we spend time for video game, even a full day. For example, we can find it in people who are already addicted to it, like a student. Students usually ignore their obligation as a student because video game. Students also ignore their teacher when their teacher is teaching because video game. From that, we can mention it the people who are playing a video game then addicted will not be able to manage time. We can imagine, we can must believe, and we must say yes for video games are the violent. Why not? Video games are reading someone's Twitter, and Mr. Frankie, Global Foundation Counselor, admitted. Ladies and gentlemen, the next reason why we are believe that video games are too violent is because it can make the people feel a social isolation. Social isolation is including a dangerous thing. People who are constantly playing video games feel that they are different with a normal people. They forget with environment and they choose to ignore environment. Video games make social skill with other people or get along purely trained, so they have the potential for social problems. We also believe that from video game we can get crime, but unfortunately, other people may not necessarily give the correct identity. Could be they are not really the age of child. Children interact with fake people and can be bullied in cyberspace and pedophilia. Don't care with environment is dangerous. We can imagine 10 until 20 years later how with our environment if we addicted to play a game. So we believe that our motion today is right. We totally agree with this motion. Ladies and gentlemen, for the next reason why we are agreeing with this motion is because video games serve as a crime scene. Video games contain an element of violence. For example, young people start to say harsh and temperament because they follow the characters in the game. When they fail, they swear with the harsh words like deceit and others. Among these games, there were many acts of violence, so that many young people also commit crimes in the real world because they are too fanatical about the online games they play. Next crime is fake account, then paragraph scan. Insert, video games is violent because video games contain a bad action and bad models. Video games is very dangerous for some in future. Ladies and gentlemen, so that is reason why we believe that video games are too violent, and we are totally agree with this motion. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.